Nico, I have sent you a co-host invite. Yay, it worked this time.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning.
GM, GM.
Mic check. You
I'm
sound
think
great, loud and clear.
nice. Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that, well, I'm not thinking, but the Basilisk team, by the way, we have to double check, but their representative had a bit of an emergency today, so they might be dropping out.
Oh,
So it'll be all about Fringe today, who I see has requested to come on as a speaker.
yeah. There's a lot of that going around, Amanda. I have a call later this afternoon, and our guest had to cancel. So I hope they're doing well. I hope everything's okay.
Oh, really? For your community call later? Or
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
tomorrow?
Oh man, a little bit of the flu. He's not even able to get out of bed today. Poor guy. So
Yeah, very chilly summer. A lot of, and like, yeah, I guess like we don't want to say it, but something that was a big deal for a couple years there is like seems to be reemerging too, which you're like, no.
oh, I
So
know.
like, a lot of that going around too.
It's the worst being sick in the summertime. At least where I am, you can't eat soup. If you ate a bowl of soup where I live, you would burst into flames.
Oh my God, truly. I feel like this is gonna boil your blood, but anywho, I guess it is start time. I'm pinging the Basilisk team to to see if they're still able to attend, but it's probably looking like Fringe Finance. Welcome. I think it's going to be a complete spotlight on you guys today. Basilisk team might be dropping out.
Hello, this is Carlos from Fringe Finance. Well, that's unfortunate to hear, but well, I guess time to shine.
Yeah, but exactly. Time to shine. Welcome, welcome. And yeah, welcome to everyone in the audience. This is week 3 already of Ape into zkSummer. I know it's the end of August, but we still have 2 weeks to go. And this week we're starting off with what was supposed to be a panel, but I guess it still technically is, on the lending platforms that are available on zkSync, available and thriving. So we had today Fringe Finance and Basilisk, who we'll have to reschedule with. But yeah, I first wanted to ask Carlos, thank you so much for joining. And of course, co host Nico representing Taho Wallet. I wanted to first hear from Carlos. If you could give us an introduction of yourself, like what's your role in the project, what Fringe Finance is, and why did your team choose to deploy on zkSync Era?
Okay, well, Carlos is my name. Nice to meet you, everyone. I did not catch yours I see Nico. But then what's the name of the person speaking on the Across account?
Oh, it's Amanda.
Amanda. All right, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we were talking to the same people that were on the Telegram chat.
Yes, yes,
And yeah,
sorry.
I'm in product marketing for Fringe. And well, Fringe Finance is like you said, a DeFi lending platform that is transitioning to offer a couple other services, such as margin trading, as well as coming up with a few innovations on the typical lending platform model that we had in DeFi so far, such as a revamped Oracle model, pooled collateral, several other touch-ups, and well, our deployment on zkSync obeys our excitement with everything zero knowledge and with the capabilities that zkSync will offer to its ecosystem members. We really trust the design of the layer 2, and we are hoping that this ecosystem will solve a lot of problems related to censorship resistance and scalability when it comes to what we expect also the growth of layer 2s to happen in a very near future.
I mean, yeah, so do we. The more layer twos kind of increase and expand, the better it is for Across too, because that means a lot more cross-chain transactions happening. So yeah, we're definitely hoping for that just massive expansion that seems like it's on the loom. What do you think, Nico? It seems like it's kind of around the corner.
Well, I just have to start off by welcoming Fringe on the call, and it's just so great to have so much information. Your UX is incredible. I'm on your website right now, fringe.fi, and I love the user experience. And I really appreciate you making it beautiful, but also accessible. It's great to see, um, Web3 becoming, I hate to say less nerdy, but the user experience, look, it's been with us through Web 1. It was definitely a part of Web 2, and I'm just so pleased to see that. So awesome, really awesome. I love this orb.
We very purposely tried to make it less nerdy, so I'm glad that you said exactly those words.
Yes. Well, I'm a designer at heart, and let's be honest. I mean, that's one of the things that separates, human beings from AI. It's just we have an eye for beauty, and we have an appreciation for, just thought that goes into things. To your question, I definitely think we're at I hate to say precipitous, but being in the building phase, earlier I've been to my first really big international conference was ETH Denver in 2020. That was, when everybody was locked inside, it was 100% virtual. Comparing it to where we are now, of course, the bull market has passed us, but what's remaining is just seeing so much incredible building that's happening right now. So, to your question, yes, Amanda, I think we're just in a fantastic time right now.
Yeah, it's good you bring that up too, though, because I particularly love the Fringe branding, like your cover picture on Twitter too. It almost looks like, to be honest, you'd be surprised that it was for financial platforms because the aesthetic is so strong. It's almost like, yeah, I think this would do very well as an NFT, to be honest. It's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and for me, it's simple click launch. That I've talked about this before with Across. Bridging is an uncomfortable experience. I've been bridging for years, and I remember the original ones, right? You would just your tokens would disappear and then to the netherworld, and but Across has really set the bar with a user experience and just a comfort level when you're bridging. Obviously, Tahoe, we've hoped, and that's really been at the core of our community project, is to make a wallet that you actually want to use. So, but to go along those lines, yeah, just to see your app, gosh, this is great. This is really easy to follow, and I love the lending platform as well. The buttons, it's simple things like that make it a lot easier.
Yeah, and I think we can speak a bit more to that user experience when it comes to the actual product, because, and again, thank you for your kind words on the design front. That's something that we paid a lot of attention to. But on the product front and even on the smart contract front, there are a couple innovations that we think make user experience even better, and that we're aiming to introduce with our V2 and V3. And one of them is, for example, pooled collateral for lending. So most DeFi platforms, what they do is that they allow you to deposit a certain amount of X tokens, and I guess the X branding is now taken over. Well, of a certain token, and then whenever you do that, you're able to take up a loan based on the amount of those certain tokens, and you use them as a collateral. Well, we got thinking, all right, what if you have basically your basket of collaterals, that is your pooled collateral effectively, and you're able to borrow against the whole basket. And that makes a lot more sense for a user, because then their loans are not tied to any single asset that can get liquidated at the smallest piece of news that comes out, or just at the littlest unfortunate market event. You make your effective loans a lot more robust. And that's just that's just a little example of a little innovation that can happen in the way we think about things in a way that we're not used to, and it just brings a whole of a lot of better user experience. And it'd be interesting once we see people breaking away from their assumptions that we have inherited from the successful platforms that came before us. Then we'll really start seeing a lot of a better user experience in general for all sides of DeFi.
That's a really intriguing concept. I wanted to just expand on it a little bit. I mean, if I show up with, is it like, for example, a pool of stables that I can, I can arrive with my stable and, jump into a pool with a bunch of other different token types?
Yeah, so let's think of you as a borrower in this situation. You want to access some additional cash, either to buy more of an asset that you think will go up in price, or just because you do not want to sell your assets to access capital. So you come in with some volatile tokens. Let's call them fringe tokens to not offend anyone. So you come up with your fringe tokens and you say, okay, I want to take a loan against these assets, but fringe is a small cap token, so it can change in price very rapidly and I can get liquidated. What you can do to make your loan more robust is that you can also throw in some, let's say, WBTC to make that loan more robust, or some ETH. And in that way, you're also taking a loan against, yes, your volatile tokens. And Fringe's goal is to allow access to DeFi for as many assets as possible, but also against your more robust tokens, which should stand market movements a lot better. And you can borrow more by virtue of adding more tokens to your basket of collateral, but also you can just use that to make your overall position sturdier, even if you have no intention of borrowing against it.
That's incredible. Are there time frames as well? I imagine you have that kind of baked into the app.
Oh yeah, that's a goal to bake into the app, and together with a whole other introductions, such as I can talk about user experience for a while, and I'm glad that we're going with this angle, because I think ultimately in DeFi a lot of times people make quote unquote innovations based on things that would be cool to have that do not necessarily follow user experience. And we try to take that seriously. Obviously, we're not perfect in like guessing 100% right all of the time what users are going to consider as a better experience. But other simple additions, such as, okay, what if you could pay back your loan in any token, not really in the token you borrowed? So you take out a loan in USDC, and through composability with a decentralized exchange, you're just able to pay it in another token, because the changes happen in the back under the hood when you're not really thinking about it. You just want to get your loan paid, so you should be able to do it as fast as possible with the assets that you already have in hand, without having to go through multiple platforms. Small innovations like that are things that we're really excited, and we think that once you add them up over time, you end up with a very different product.
Yeah, that's amazing, and so much thought and care goes into that. I I can attest to that from the Tahoe side. Just building things behind the scenes. At the end of the day, it's something that you want to have intuitive from your user experience. But I can definitely attest to that. It's something when you have the engineers coming up with the innovation, and yes, we can do this, but getting it all the way to the hands of your actual community, and the people that you actually onboard, that's a long journey. So that's really incredible.
Yeah, totally.
And back to you, Amanda. I'm sorry. You know me. I get off. I hate to say it, but I get on these fringes.
Although it's such a good one. Yeah, it is good to see like Web3 projects taking more into consideration like the aesthetic experience, I think too, which yeah, Fringe has done very well. Like that's the differentiating factor in terms of marketing in Web2 now, right? It's all about the experiential marketing versus more traditional efforts. So I don't know. I feel like I could be wrong. It's just like a weird theory, but maybe with the obsession with Instagram, I think everything has become. It's so important to have a clean aesthetic and a beautiful experience in kind of everything we do. And as a society, I feel like we're all like moving back to having more appreciation for with the arts, and that's a lot to do with NFTs. And yeah, it's a good movement. I'm liking it. I wanted
Yeah,
to go ahead.
yeah, totally. No. I was just going to agree with that. I think one big triumph of Web3 would be to just get prettier. It's a reality that a lot of what we used to do or what we do in Web3 is kind of ugly. So the prettier that we get, and I'm looking at you, MetaMask, the prettier those tools we need to use every day get, the most value we're going to attract just by virtue of having people feel like they're in a friendly environment.
Yeah, exactly. Well, good. Interesting that you mentioned MetaMask because, yeah, that's why we're partnered with Taho Wallet for this one because that is the beautiful experience when it comes to token wallets. And not even that, NFT wallets. What am I saying? There's so many different ways to use your Taho wallet. And yeah, what a team that has focused on experience as well.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm actually really glad that you brought it up. You know, a lot of the people, we're a community-owned project, so our big difference, I think, that sets us apart from MetaMask is that, you know, we just are fully open sourced. You can hop on, GitHub. You can pull our repository. You can fork it. You know, really get in there and play around with it and understand what's happening under the hood. But we've just always wanted to take a community approach. I'm an NFT guy, and when I joined the team, it was really DeFi centric. A lot of people are very comfortable with DeFi transactions, but when I came on board, I'm comfortable with NFTs. And whether you think about a token, and this is something that I'm so impressed with Fringe, because you're token agnostic. You're not a Bitcoin maximalist. You're not an Ethereum. I don't want to say maximalist, but being an NFT person, my approach was, look, we've got to make this easy to use. Everybody collects NFTs. We all need a wallet, and so that was our approach. But yeah, in the early days, for those that follow Tahoe, you'll know. I mean, we actually had a hound chasing a fox around East Denver. We definitely want to take on MetaMask.
I love it.
Yeah, I don't know if any of you guys were there. It was awesome. It was really fun. We had these costumes, and it's just a little bit of real life theater. But there's mascots at East Denver, I should say, the Buffacorn, and there's some other mascots too. So we weren't the only ones. But yeah, and it isn't to say I'm better, you're better. But we just realized early on, they're more of a centralized approach. They're funded by central banks. They've got profit and loss that they have to make, and they don't really bring a lot of that back to the community. So that was kind of the inception of Tahoe. But having said that, yeah, it was all about the user experience. The one thing I love when I'm integrated with Across, when I'm on a bridge, and a lot of wallets don't do this. I don't think any wallet does this. We switch natively. So if you want to bridge from Optimism to Arbitrum, you go to the Across bridge, but your wallet, that's a third step. You've got to go back in there and reset that. And again, it's just a part of the user experience. I clicked, sign, and then all of a sudden this red thing pops up, whether it's MetaMask or any of the other wallets, really. And, it's a simple thing. The wallet's just saying, hey, I need you to change networks. But we asked our engineers to just do that automatically, and it'll recognize that Across is asking for a bridge. It'll toggle that switch. So that was just a comment that I wanted to make on UX in terms of the wallet side of it. But throwing that back to Across, I know just from being involved in your zkSync launch, man, your engineers worked like overtime. I mean, I can't even believe I've seen how long it takes to bring on a new chain. And when you guys decided to launch ZK, you did it right. I mean, you really put so much effort into that.
Oh yeah, thanks so much. We were so excited. Like, I think not to like get too much into Across, but yeah, we did listen to our community in that we originally had planned to bring out this feature called the UBA, Universal Bridge Adapter, which would allow us to connect to chains that don't have canonical bridges or official token bridges like Avalanche or BNB chain. Like, they don't have those, and those are really robust ecosystems. We couldn't originally get there with our design, so we had to add this feature that would allow us to get to those types of bridges. I mean, those types of chains, sorry. And just there was some engineering, like technical hurdles that were met. And instead of taking more time in figuring those problems out, we like heard the community, the outcry of like, when zkSync? We're like, oh, we cannot disappoint our community. Let's just pivot and focus on this launch. And we're really happy that we could make the community happy. That's always the best route. And I think a lot of people who have used Across really like the feature of seeing how it's like that little video that plays when you bridge that shows how fast the deposit is taking. So it's like kind of like a really quick countdown of how many seconds it takes for your transfer to be initiated. And people really like that. So they can, in a fun way, track their assets and see where it's at in the process. But I think some people don't know that we are powered by UMA, which is an optimistic oracle. And this is a question that I wanted to sort of pivot to the Fringe team. Carlos, we were looking at, we were just like looking at your roadmap, and I saw that in the Fringe Finance V3, it says that you'll be utilizing a novel oracle model. So yeah, because of our connection with UMA, we'd love to dive a bit more into that with you and see what this oracle will help solve in the lending space. Because I'm very familiar that oracle and lending protocols sometimes have a bit of problems solving all the issues.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a great question. And by the way, the Vasilis team didn't get to join, but it's been great to get to hear both of you talking about your respective projects. You're both working on some really interesting stuff. I think there's a common misconception, and I guess that reflects poorly on the Fringe team, on the wording we've been using regarding that new Oracle model, because people automatically think that we're launching an Oracle ourselves. And we're very much not. That's Oracles are a complex business, and you're either full in or full out. And actually, we've been looking into UMA. I interviewed them myself a while ago, and I gotta say they're a really cool team with a solid solution. Basically, what we're trying to do at Fringe, our motto is DeFi for everyone. And what we're aiming to do is to onboard as many projects as possible to the decentralized finance ecosystem, because it's a sad reality that most of them just get ignored. If you're an app trying to onboard people to Web3 social through a DAO that you govern through your token, most likely your token is going to end up siloed from the DeFi ecosystem. And we want to bring as many of those tokens as possible to DeFi. And to do that, the first step is often lending. And the usual constraint is more often than not that there are not Oracle fits from that. We've actually just seen that because the Oracle feeds availability changes all the time, we've had to delist a bunch of projects that we had listed. which gets in the way of us delivering the experience that we're trying to create in the first place. To combat this and to be able to list more tokens, we are coming up with a different model to obtain and process those prices from different sources, which means that we might integrate whatever oracles are available, including Chainlink, including UMA, including Supra, including whoever is providing oracle feeds that are valuable, but that we're adding an additional treatment on top of that so that all oracle prices regarding the source can have our veto of security. And this is particularly exciting when it comes to oracle sources such as Uniswap. Now, other lending platforms have tried to use Uniswap as a source of token prices and failed at that because it does happen that, especially for the more volatile tokens, Uniswap pools lend, pun intended, I guess, lend themselves to market manipulation quite easily by virtue of, just inflating or deflating the token price using, by adding or removing collateral from Uniswap pools. So with this Oracle model, what we want to achieve is to be able to use those tokens, but applying those token prices by applying certain constraints. Those constraints are as simply explained as, okay, what is your usual token volatility in an hourly frame? Well, if we're using a source that we consider to be delicate, such as Uniswap, you're only going to be borrowed under the usual volatility limits. So if volatility goes beyond what your historic behavior shows, we will consider that you're being attacked. And as such, we will only act within the frame of those liquidations, of that volatility, to avoid unnecessary liquidations. That might result in some users losing some opportunities based on legitimate activity from extreme volatility, but it will protect 99% of users. And as such, we're comfortable with making that trade-off. We are considering also that the capability of listing so many more assets is just makes it way more valuable to make the trade-off. And as such, we're pretty excited because once we finalize the design and implementation of this new Oracle model, we're going to be able to tap into so many more assets and liquidity, yes, but particularly communities that are going to have a lot more utility for their tokens. And that should be something that everyone's looking forward to in Web3, have their tokens be optimized and used at their maximum potential.
Wow, that's a really big and ambitious goal. I haven't really heard a lot of projects doing that, like incorporating different oracles. I know like UMA is great for more exotic prices as well. So, but for more, pricing for more exotic assets. The only ever time I've really heard of this, maybe Nico, you're more familiar with this too, is like NFT pricing, where it's so tough for like NFT lending protocols to find like a consensus on a floor price, and then to like take into consideration some of the outliers due to like the rarity factors. And they just use like tons of different oracles to try to get it right.
Actually, that's you touched on NFTs. That's really important. So this kind of model also allows you to list fractionalized NFTs or to list LP tokens that are another on-top market, derivatives. And it's ambitious, but we think we have seen platforms, and this is not a dunk on anyone because any failure that happens in DeFi hurts everyone, and it also helps everyone because by virtue of seeing other platforms fail, we can make our platforms more secure. We've seen platforms like Euler Finance that they try to list as many oracles as possible, as many tokens as possible, and by virtue of using Uniswap feeds, they eventually got wrecked through a market manipulation attack. So we see that and we take it seriously, and we understand that, okay, there are constraints that need to happen in order to make that possible. And also, like you say, if certain oracles are better for exotic assets, if certain oracles are better for NFTs, they should be taken into account. Ideally, all with posterior treatments to make them safer for the ultimate purpose that you're trying to get them for, such as in our case lending. But for other platforms, it might be worthwhile applying a posterior treatment for a different case.
It's really incredible conceptually that you would put NFTs into the discussion, because it's true. I mean, I'm also involved in a DAO that has a large governance token, right? And so we utilize the governance token explicitly, just for DAO governance, but it's still bought and sold on exchanges. And so my exposure to tokens, I mean, obviously beyond Bitcoin and Ethereum, but based on the liquidity on a certain exchange, I recognize that once an oracle was looking at a really obscure exchange, and it had very low liquidity available, and so the token price, the governance token, I'm not going to name the token, I'm using it as an arbitrary example, but it was much lower than it had been the previous day before, and everybody in the DAO was like, what's going on? And we just realized that, gosh, this particular oracle had switched over to a very obscure exchange that had very low liquidity available. And as soon as things kind of worked themselves out again, it looked to a larger exchange. Binance was obviously a lot larger than the obscure one. But putting that into light, Amanda, the way you mentioned NFTs, that's really crucial, right? Because look, OpenSea is kind of the Binance of NFTs, but then you have these other trading platforms that are secondary to it. Looks Rare was another big one that came out. We particularly on the zkSync, specifically with a lot of the projects that we're even involved with in the campaign, they use Element, and zk Era is building its own ecosystem. So it's difficult, just like a lot of assets, it's difficult to kind of compare them across chain. But if I just specifically just talk about Ethereum, yeah, if you have, like an NFT that has 10,000 in the collection, the primary market's going to be OpenSea. The secondary market's going to be looks Rare. Beyond that, you get some other markets, right? And they're going to be just like a DEX in a way. But then what you were talking about with being able to kind of look at these fractional ownerships, and there are some platforms that are out there that actually allow you to trade an NFT for Ethereum, and then use the Ethereum to buy DAI. So it's absolutely incredible, the things that people are thinking of. And I wanted to just bring that point in, because putting it in layman's terms, it's just really amazing to think about how the oracle that you choose, it can really, I know I don't want to say make or break an NFT project, but depending on the oracle, it can really make people's opinions change a lot. So it's a pretty big deal. I mean, there's a lot of thought that has to go into that. And again, I just wanted to just kind of make a good statement about UMA and our experience with it. That's one of the things I really love about it is just the ability for you guys to be so active with everything.
Right, and with UMA's particularly, it does just go beyond like price feeds, which makes it really unique in terms of the power behind the oracle. But I wanted to ask Carlos, including the Oracle topic, but I guess it's like probably like one of the top questions, let's say, for new lending protocols is what is the difference between your lending platform and Aave? And I think the Oracle discussion is cool to throw in the differences there too.
Yeah, that's a core difference. I think there are a couple more. And we originally started out as pretty much a fork of Compound, and we've been working towards our differentiation. And I think, and by the way, I can flatter the Fringe team because I'm not in the technical team. I'm in the marketing team, and really, our technical team has really thought these things through in the evolution that Fringe has had and the evolution that Fringe aims to have to become its own thing. So we're starting with a tried and proven model, such as the fork of Compound model, and we're just going in our own direction now. Always with that ultimate goal of incorporating as many assets as possible in mind. So basically, my coffee machine is making a couple weird noises. I don't know if you can hear it. Anyways, Fringe is trying to incorporate new features into the mix so that we can really shine in our own light. One of them is being the amplify and margin platforms that we're incorporating at our V2. Now, the lending systems are very similar under the hood to margin and leverage trading. And you can actually turn a lending platform into a margin trading platform quite easily. So we figured, why not? So starting from our V2, you're going to be able to not only borrow and lend against your tokens, but also to access leverage through them using the same lending primitives that allow Fringe V1 to happen in the first place. That's a huge innovation because you're going to be able to go long and short on any of the listed assets, but you're also going to be able to just go full degen and access as much leverage as possible if you want to. Now, do we consider that a product for everyone? No, but under the hands of a responsible user, that's a great tool to have, and that people usually need to access through centralized platforms like the Binances of the world. Putting that on chain, in our opinion, is really important to get people on the centralized platforms instead of their trusted centralized ones. Going multi-chain and going cross-chain, that's also really important for us. You guys are obviously the cross-chain experts, so I will not speak too much to that, but we see a lot of value in just users being able to take a loan in one chain and repay it in another, take a loan in one chain and receive their assets in another, add collateral in one chain, and be able to use a DEX in another chain to repay their loan, so on and so forth. We think that's amazing, and that's the future of our industry, to be able to put together all these chains. The multi-chain world and the L2, L3 world is fantastic in that it will allow for so much more scalability. It will allow for so much more activity without dramatically increasing the costs. And that also relates back to wallets, and it also relates back to user experience. The user experience needs to be there for cross-chain to be seamless and to not just make it a huge problem on users that now they need to track their assets and their loans and their activity through so many different chains. There needs to be an easy way to present all of that so that it's seamless and it's actually better than the centralized systems that we currently use. So we're keeping all of that in mind. We're introducing the new Oracle model. We're introducing a stablecoin, although that has been pushed towards a later time so that we can focus on more pressing needs. And well, last but not least, we are just aiming to optimize the platform in as many ways as possible. Most lending platforms tend to optimize for security, and we do see that that is important, but we are also trying to add incremental optimizations towards capital efficiency without sacrificing security. So capital utilization, make sure that users that are supplying collateral. So sorry, now I just get like a mess on the terms that I'm using. Users that I'm supplying liquidity, not collateral, liquidity, can get the most out of it. So if you add capital to a lending platform and you're effectively a stablecoin lender or an ETH lender or a WBTC lender, you should be able to get the most out of it. The platform should try to get that capital lent out as soon as possible so that more loans are happening, first of all, and more lenders want to come because the rates are more attractive for all. So those are all under the hood fixes and improvements that are always taking place. They're not they don't lead to very exciting launches like, hey, we just debuted this new feature and it's got its own interface and it looks amazing. But overall, it makes the rates better and it just keeps driving the value proposition of DeFi up through better rates, but sustainable rates as well. I hope that I didn't ramble too much, but that's the answer.
No, not at all. And I'm sorry if I missed this part, but just on the topic of cross-chain, like for users who are adding liquidity to the Fringe platform, are they doing that separately on each chain, or do you have a comprehensive pool like on zkSync, for example?
I don't think I understood the question, to be honest. Can you maybe rephrase that?
Like one of the questions I had sent you for like on the agenda was more about like liquidity fragmentation. So I was just curious if users would be adding liquidity on zkSync and then separately on Arbitrum, for example, like when Fringe decides to deploy to Arbitrum, it's like separate pools for separate chains, or is your main pool always going to just be zkSync? And the protocol does the, guess, as you said, like under the hood, like moving capital around, like where it's needed across chain.
Yeah, currently we don't have a solution in place for that. In the future, it would be amazing to have users deploy capital on only one chain and for it to be available on all chains. Until we sort out our cross-chain functionalities, we are limited to users providing liquidity in a certain chain and that capital being locked in that chain for users of that chain to utilize. But yes, it's siloed at the moment.
Okay, yeah, it's something that we can all have another powwow about and try to collectively come up with a solution for, because yeah, liquidity fragmentation is something that it does affect us all in a way.
Get me in on
go ahead.
Be there too. I just have to ask real quick before we get past that comment that you made. From an onboarding perspective, I really think what you mentioned was important. You're providing a platform for people to borrow. They have a collateral asset. They come onto the platform and they borrow from you. But whether it's on, at the time, I understand, you'll do that specifically on one chain. But once that happens, then I'm in a situation where it's decentralized. And another thing I just wanted to tip my hat to you for on your platform, it's it's pretty intuitive. You know, look at the process right now. If I want to buy a car, I have a car loan. You know, the bill comes at the beginning of the month. If I don't pay the loan, they just come and take my car away. But it's paperwork. You know, it's a notification system through the mail, and I'm assuming, I guess, you know, based on the interactions with your dashboard, that's how you can really follow your loan. You know, you can understand a little bit more about the liquidity, about when do I make, you know, payments on it, when is the term expired. But it also comes back onto all of our responsibilities, you know, across Tahoe and Fringe, in that we we clearly communicate to our community, you know. So one of the things, again, and not to just make the whole call about UX, but just last week, you know, I had someone that was involved in our campaign, Amanda, and they, you know, got everything all done. They bridged, they had all their assets ready to go. And he said, all right, cool. You know, I just wanted to learn about bridging and I enjoyed the function. And he wanted to send, he did it all like in a burner wallet just to kind of get comfortable with it, right? And he said, okay, cool. And I want to send my ETH back to my main wallet. And he was trying to send the entire amount, and it was on a different chain. And I had to explain to him, I said, well, hey, you know, guy, bro, look, you just need a little bit of gas. You got $20 in your wallet. You're trying to send $20, make it 19, and the transaction will go. And, you know, he was laughing and we were all having a good time because that was something that just evaded him. He was so excited about the technology of getting funds from Ethereum over to ZK. So seamless, you know, so quick. But then, you know, we forgot just a fundamental thing, you know, there's still gas. So I just wanted to kind of tip my hat to you guys on that. I really appreciate that you're thinking about the normies, you know, the day ones that are coming into the crypto space.
Oh, well, yeah, again, like you're really kind, and I really appreciate that. One thing that I would say that it's very that is very interesting for us when you talk about the normies, quote unquote, although we're all the normies at heart, is that we do recognize that DeFi, for example, bridging the incumbent financial players of the world into DeFi has been not the experience we all in DeFi collectively thought it would be. It's just true that a lot of the existing traditional finance players are just a lot more comfortable in their world, and they're doing quite okay in their world. And so they're not necessarily trying to change their playing field and move to a new one where they'd be new, or even there's even a case to be made that existing financial players do not want to move to decentralized finance because decentralized finance presents an even playing field. And we all know that in TradFi, your connections, your privileged information, your even influence behind the scenes, with sometimes with dark undertones, they play a big part in what the slice of the pie you get end up being. In decentralized finance, that's not the case, because we're trying to build a system that's all mathematically calculated and fair. So to that regard, we have started thinking over at Fringe that it might just be better to try to onboard completely new users that are not using financial products at all, or that using financial retail products at most, and try to onboard them to the DeFi experience. Now, to that, and I'm feeling comfortable doing this because you guys have also been giving shout outs to your partners, which is cool. It's always great to hear what other people think about other products and not necessarily theirs. Our founder and CEO, Paul Mack, has now gotten involved with a project that's called Biga Arcade, which aims to create a seamless path from Web3 gaming to decentralized finance. And that is basically create the best
experience possible for Web3 gamers, and make sure that these guys have an easy way to, okay, you made a certain amount of money, you made gains playing your game. Why don't you try to get some yields on your gains? You're always able to withdraw them, but if you want to stake those coins and lend them out and earn yield, you'd be free to do it. And you'd use Fringe primitives. So through that, we're also hoping to tap into a new market of, okay, gamers are pretty much already the crowd that we are aiming to demographically, at least, on board to DeFi. Why don't we create a seamless path to that? And I think when you mentioned onboarding the normies, that's a really interesting way to do it. Get your Web3 gamers, get your Web3 social users, all the other apps we can get Web3 working on. Now, Friend Tech is doing amazing. NFTs did really well to bring in new users to Web3. Let's create a path to get those guys into DeFi, and forget about our constant obsession with traditional finance. Let's make maybe even its own. Let's make DeFi its own revolution and not make it all about bringing in the existing financial players that we love to criticize, but we also secretly desire.
Well, beautifully worded, Carlos. I really loved that line of saying that we're trying to create a world where pretty much every aspect of our lives just like financially calculated. And I like using that terminology versus like just constantly saying the word trustless or decentralized, because there's a lot of like decentralized theatrics out there. So I like this wording. I think, yeah, no wonder you're a marketer. That was like really clever.
Yeah. I think I think this is something that we've given a lot of thought to. So I'm glad that it came out well, I guess.
Yeah. I guess the last questions are we're running towards the end of our scheduled chat time. I just wanted like a lighter, fun question to send us off. And for those newbies who we were just talking about, is there any one piece of advice that you would give to someone who hasn't tried crypto lending before? And what would you tell them if they want to give it a try, especially if they want to give Fringe a try?
Yeah, if people want to start using these platforms, to be honest, I would say try it with L2s first, because the Ethereum mainnet has been a great hurdle for adoption. I mean, paying $5 for a transaction, and that's even on the cheaper side of what it's been. It's just been, yeah, it's a big barrier. And someone was even making the case the other day in a podcast I was listening to that, okay, a lot of these new chains, such as zkSync, they have a lot more bot activity. And so a lot of the transaction volume is bots. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, as people try to make it seem, because the fact that we have bots now, it just indicates that they're getting cheap enough for bots to use. And a lot of infrastructure actually requires those bots that were previously too costly to operate. So if you can have a bot in the background running a lot of basic transactions that you need to enable some more sophisticated qualities, that's also a great thing for your system. But I digress. Yeah, I would say start off with an L2, start off with zkSync. If that's too daunting, try to use Polygon. At Fringe, we're not multi-chain yet, but we're going to release those functions very soon. For now, just learn about the capabilities of DeFi, learn about everything that are the key differences between DeFi and TradFi, especially for you as a user that might not be able to access everything in TradFi, because it needs paperwork, because you need a certain credit score, because you need whatever.
learn about it and get comfortable with the terminology before you jump in, and learn about the importance of self-custody and best practices before you jump in, so that you have a strong hold on everything. At some point, I would argue that also you just need to go for it. You never learn better than when you have your own assets in the line and when you have yourself in the line. So, to that effect, always use only what you're comfortable with losing, only ever be as exposed and you can afford to be if you consider that the risk is higher than it is, and have fun with it. It's a cool ecosystem to play with. I think L2s are going to afford us a lot of more fun use cases than just purely financial use cases. As they say, if everything costs a lot to do, then the only applications that make sense are the ones that make money. Now that everything is going to get a lot cheaper, we're going to have a lot more applications that do not aim to make money. They just aim to entertain. So we're at the start of a very interesting wave, and that's something that I would recommend everyone to keep an eye on. And shout out to KFC, who's been like spamming emojis this whole time. That's really good for the spaces. So thank you for just doing it.
Yeah, thanks to everyone in the audience. I think that was like some good advice, a fun question to finish off this super interesting space. I think we went down a couple of roads that we didn't plan for, but yeah, also loved Nico. Thanks for taking us down the road of user experience, because that is incredible to focus on, especially when a project such as Fringe gets it done right. And yeah, lending is important. It's really interesting to see like all the things that we can do with our crypto and with our NFTs, etc. And it just goes to show that these assets are of real value when you can borrow on them, and yeah, just so much more convenience with protocols like Fringe. So really, thank you for coming, Carlos. Nico, did you have any sort of final thoughts?
I just want to kind of reverberate what Carlos said, and it's awesome advice. I mean, it's true. You only live once, but at the same time, I think when you make a journey like this, and you have respected partners like Across, obviously Taho and Fringe. I think when you join these communities and you onboard with them, and you have great discords that you can just ask questions and join these Twitter spaces, it makes taking the plunge a little less YOLO, and a little bit more thoughtful. So this is incredible. That's awesome advice. And just in general, this was such a great space. I learned so much on these spaces as well, not just being a host and joining the audience, but we all benefit from Web3. We're so early, and there's just so much incredible information. And I think about every single day when I go to bed at night how much just cool stuff I learned that day. So hats off to you, Fringe, for giving me some more stuff to think about tonight.
Yeah, these spaces, like as much as it is so exciting that there are so many L2s coming out and tons of really cool projects on each of them, it is a lot of work to keep up with everything that's happening in this space. So yeah, I find it really beneficial, even personally, to get to know some of these projects on the zkSync ecosystem, because not much of a studier, I probably wouldn't be doing that in my free time. Right? So this is a really cool way to get a deep dive on some of the hidden gems in a very young ecosystem. So it's only going to grow more and more from here, right? So I'm really excited that we're not only early in Web3, but super early in zkSync era.
Yeah, and thank you guys for being such gracious hosts. This has been a lot of fun, and I have to say that I've been looking through Tahoe. I wasn't too aware of it, and it looks like a really fine product, Nico. So congrats on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much again. What a great space, Amanda.
Yeah, thank
Amanda,
you.
thank you very much.
Oh, no, thank you guys. It was really fun. And I think the only way to send us off is to say you only live once. So if you haven't tried Fringe, Tahoe Wallet, or Across, do so today. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for another great space with Velocore. Please join also our community call that's happening in an hour from now. We have Draculify, who is bribe spawned protocol on zkSync era. They're also going to be joining. That's in our Discord. And we'll announce the giveaway winners of today, Friend tokens. We'll do that sometime later this week and hopefully reschedule with Basilisk for next week. But yeah, a lot of events, a lot of prizes, games going on. So yeah, thank you guys for aping into zkSummer with us and Across and Tahoe Wallet. Cheers.
Right. Thank you very much. Shout out
Bye.
to KFC. Bye-bye.
Bye, KFC.
Have a good one.